Alrighty, Chef Buck here in a brand new house sitting kitchen with a brand new Moka Pot. The folks that own this house own this Moka Pot, but since they're not here, I'm using this Moka Pot. If you've never, well, you've probably seen a Moka Pot. You know, every time you go into Starbucks or whatever, you see these things and you think, I know, it's another coffee contraption. But these are actually pretty old, very popular in Europe. The folks that own this place, see, it says made in Italy. And they've done a lot of traveling in Italy, and they say these are everywhere. They have these in the bathrooms in Italy.
Oh, stop.
Super simple. This is a dinky one. You can get them on all different kinds of sizes, but you can use this to make an Americano or a cafe au lait, which is what I like to do with it. But a Moka Pot is 3 pieces. You know, you got the top part, boom. You got the bottom part, and you got the middle part. Now the bottom part is where you put your water, and you don't want to fill it up too high. There's a pressure valve here. You don't want to fill it with more water than above that. This here is the coffee part, where the coffee goes, and it will brew up into here.
It'll create a little fountain, a coffee
right.
fountain.
But the first thing we're going to do is fill this up. And I'm going to fill it with hot water. Hot out of the tap works just fine, I think. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to put some hot tap water in here. And you want to fill it up just to the little pressure release valve. You know, you don't want to overfill it. So now we've got our base filled up with water. And now we're going to put the coffee part in. See this funnel here? We're going to set this in here. We're going to fill it up with coffee. The hot water is going to heat. It's going to run through the coffee. And then it's going to pour up into here, and it's going to come out of this spout and fill up this upper chamber with coffee. So the heat's going to cause the water to rise up, brew the coffee, and fill this pot. It's science. It's coffee science.
Well, the important part is it makes a coffee fountain.
I think it's called convection-duction. And you want to use freshly ground coffee and a nice dark coffee. Because again, this doesn't make a lot of coffee. So you want to use a dark roast for a nice, heavy coffee, thick coffee, big booty coffee. But we're going to fill it up with some coffee grounds, and this is just a regular ground coffee, just like you would put in your Mr. Coffee Maker. It doesn't have to be as coarsely ground as coffee that you would use for a French press, but you don't want it to be super finely ground. But see, I've got it pretty much filled up. Now I'm going to kind of even it out, press it down, but you don't want to compact it in here. You just want to fill it to the top, but fill it all the way, but don't overfill it. And now we're going to take the top part and just screw it on. Just give it a little, don't have to fill it on super tight. So now we're going to turn our stove on, and I got it on the back burner, which is the smallest burner for the smallest flame, because you don't want to have a huge flame on here. I'm going to set this on here, and you want to be careful when you have it on a stovetop not to have the handle directly exposed to the heat, because this handle will melt. So be careful with that when you're using this kind of pot. Now we're just going to open up the lid, and we're just going to wait for this to heat up, and then the coffee will start to come out here. But you want to be patient.
Where is it?
Don't turn this up too high, because you want it to take its time bubbling through here and coming out the top. If you turn up the heat really fast, you know, this will heat up fast and it'll shoot up through there, and you know, that'll be too quick. You know, you want your coffee to brew. See how low I got that flame? You want to make sure and keep it low. Low and slow. Oops, it's coming out. And see how slowly it's coming out of there? Ideally, that's how you want it to come out.
No fountain.
Super slow, slowly fill up. It'll fountain a little bit at the end. This is like a boring coffee volcano. Now it's at the very end, you see there, so we're going to go ahead and get it off.
That tells you, the foam tells you it's at the end?
When the water gets clear at the end there, then that's it. You don't want to leave it on there and let it get any hotter, because you don't want to overheat the pot on the bottom. You don't want to overheat any of this stuff coming up. Now this is like a cup of espresso, you know, but not true espresso, but very thick, dark, strong coffee. So there we have our coffee. Boom, hot off the press, super dark, rich, thick, strong. For me, this is ideal for a cafe au lait. I used to get cafe au lait all the time when I lived in New Orleans, because they had that strong chicory coffee down there. You want to do just as much coffee as milk. It's a lot of hot milk and a lot of coffee. You know, it's half milk and half coffee, so that was all. That was all we got out of this Moka Pot, was half of this cup. So it doesn't make a lot of coffee. It's super strong, ideal for cafe au lait. And I gotta tell you, I love the Moka Pot for that reason. Look at that, boom, perfect cafe au lait. This is what I like to use a Moka Pot for, you know. If you want to drink coffee right out of the Moka Pot, you know, that thick espresso type coffee, well, you're a bigger man than I am. When I was a kid, they called this grandpa coffee, although it was cold milk. If it's a cafe au lait, it's hot milk and hot coffee. If it's just cold milk and coffee, and a cafe au lait, that's a cafe au wannabe. Thanks for watching this very exciting Moka coffee pot video. Check out my coffee playlist and all the other breaking coffee news on that playlist. And thanks for liking and subscribing, and we'll see you in the future. Bye-bye.